The Without Fear of Her Future podcast is for women who are passionately pursuing financial freedom through investing in real estate. We are here to empower you to be brave, dream big, and design a life you love. I'm your co-host, Tresa Todd, founder of the Women's Real Estate Investors Network and author of the book, Without Fear of Her Future.
And I'm Melissa Baker, real estate investor and fitness coach specializing in turning properties from drab to fab. I'm here to help motivate and inspire you to build your dream life because, girl, you deserve it. Hello, beautiful. Welcome back to Without Fear of Her Future, the podcast for women ready to impact their financial future and change their family legacy. Today, we're joined by one of our very successful RAIN students who's creating a beautiful new life for her family in this new season of investing. Stephanie Johnson left a 20-plus year career in oil and gas and jumped into full-time real estate investing. Her story is an encouraging spiritual journey, proving it's never too late for God to do something new. Get ready to discover how she leveraged mentorship and networking to dream new dreams and create a life she loves. Welcome to the show, Stephanie. We are thrilled to bring your story to our listeners.
Yes. Welcome, Stephanie.
We are so glad you're here. Stephanie, we really like to introduce you to our listeners by starting at the beginning. So before we get into your investing journey, I'd really love for you to tell our listeners what your life looked like just a couple years ago.
A couple of years ago, I've been married, or at the time, for 33 years to a wonderful husband that supports me in just about everything, or everything that I do. 2 boys. I was a vice president of an oil and gas company. I handled all their accounting and HR management. Had done that for, at the time, 19 years. When I left there, it was 20 years. And I did that career for about 26 years before I finally retired. And yeah, the real estate RAIN network helped me to make that decision to retire early.
Oh, very nice.
Love it. Love it. Okay, so I know that God gave you some pretty direct and specific instructions. In fact, he did it more than once. And man, don't we love it when he does that? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. I wish he would just do that every day of our lives.
Amen.
That would make things so much easier.
It really would.
Yes, I was at a women's conference probably about 6 years ago, and God told me to go back to school. And I'm like, I think you're talking to the wrong person. And the lady that I was riding with in the car, she was, coming back, she said, "What did God give you, at the conference?" And I said, "Nothing." And she said, "Okay, I know he did something." And I told her I was supposed to go back to school. And she was like, "Oh, what's that going to look like?" And I said, "I have no idea. I am in the career that I want. I'm top level as far as I can go. I mean, I wasn't going to become the CEO. And I was officing right next to the CEO. So I'm like, where else do you go with this career? And why do I need to go back to school?" So I thought that for a good, 3 years.
Wow.
Maybe a little bit more, just kind of arguing back and forth with God on that. I was fasting and praying with my church. They did a 21-day fast in January, and I was praying for my oldest son to find direction in his life. And God was like, "When are you going to do what I told you to do?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What are we talking about?" So he had to remind me, "I told you to go back to school, and you haven't done that yet." And so I started calling schools. I, went back to school. Every school that I called 5 different ones, because at the time I just did not know. God just said, "Go back to school." He didn't say what to go into. And so I was trying to be obedient for that. Every school that I called kind of went through what I was doing right now and told me that I needed to go into strategic management and business analytics. And when you get a confirmation from all 5 telling you this, that's what I'm supposed to do. But I hear exactly.
You, Lord.
But he still didn't tell me what school to go to. And so for the next week, okay, I've got to make a decision. And here's the 5 I would be comfortable with any of them. So tell me which one. Well, on my commute back and forth to work, I have 4 Christian radio stations that I just kind of, if I don't like the song they're playing, I hit the button and listen to another one. And all of them were advertising Abilene Christian University. Get your master's degree in, whatever, in 2 years. And I'm like, okay, here I go, Lord. That's the one I'm going to do. So got my degree and realized that I was already doing the things that the degree was teaching me. I just didn't know what they were called. And God just started removing things off my plate. As I was learning what they were called, I would train someone else in the office how to do it, and that part of my job would go away. And then, of course, you start questioning, what is happening?
Yeah.
You told me to be obedient and go back to school, and I did. And now my job, I'm like,
giving my
somebody
job away.
else. And so then, of course, he starts waking me up at night and telling me it's time. And I'm like, time for what? Get your resume together. Of course, when God tells you stuff like that, you're like, okay, are they about to fire me? Or, is something happening to the company? Is something happening in the world? What is happening? But I was obedient and got my resume together, and then I just sat on it for several months. And he's like, okay, I'm going to need you to put that out there. I'm going to need you to start going on interviews. I'm going to need you to be obedient further than just getting your resume together. So I started doing that. And then just hit a wall of, I don't know what I'm doing. I keep going on these interviews. I keep, they keep telling me, the recruiters were like, you're in the running, you're still in the running. And then they would hire the other person. And they'd come back to me and say, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, it's okay, because that's not the job for me.
Wow.
And they couldn't understand the peace that I had,
Yeah.
They thought I would be upset. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to be okay when it's the one that he wants me to take. And until then, I'm going to stay put.
So God was clearly preparing you for something yet to come.
Oh, yeah. Had no idea.
Okay.
Had no idea.
And before we go there, I know that we're going to talk about real estate here in just a minute and your journey there. But I just love that our listeners are, because you're teaching something about listening, that God speaks when we listen.
Yeah.
And he was talking to you all the way, even about what school to go to, because when you start listening, you're asking, hey, what school do I go to? And then you can just keep hearing the same ad, the same ad, the same ad. God will speak to all of us if we'll just pay attention. So that's what I want our listeners just to get that little nugget is that, and that he also gives us grace when we don't obey immediately, but at the same time, he can't do what he wants to do until we do.
Right.
So thank God for his grace, but also thank that, that you obeyed, and you might have taken a little while in some of those things, but that's when life changes is when we obey. So that's awesome. It's a great story.
So I beat myself up, mentally and emotionally for a while, that I was not obedient right away, that it was delayed obedience. And when the school called me, I said something to him about that when, they called to interview me of why I was going back to school at, 53 years old, 54, whatever. I guess I was 52 at the time. And, so I kind of shared with him the story of what God was doing. And he said, stop beating yourself up. This program did not exist 4 years ago.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
See, and I love it. And I think that God knew that you weren't going to obey immediately. He knew that you were going to procrastinate and push this off.
Early.
Yeah. So he needed to start planting that seed and talking to you a little early.
It's so true.
I love it.
I'm a little stubborn.
But his timing is perfect, is it
right.
not? Oh, that's amazing.
That's
That's
right.
amazing.
Love it.
Okay, so let's talk now about Without Fear of Her Future MasterClass that actually brought you to the Women's Real Estate Investors Network. We want to know how you found it, when you went through it, your thoughts on it, everything.
Yeah. Okay, well, this kind of coincides with I finished my degree and I was kind of lost of, okay, I'm giving my job away. What am I supposed to do? And I used to, and still do, um, mentor other women, kind of teach them how to read the Bible for themselves and how to pray and just seek God's will for their lives and how to pray for that. And I was at a spot, and I'm probably going to cry, um, that I felt like I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing, and I needed a mentor. And so I called my church, and the lady that's over the mentor program, I was hoping and praying that I would get her, but normally, that she's super busy and she's going to assign you to somebody else. And she called me back and she said, "What's going on?" And I told her I needed somebody to talk to myself. Um, and she made an appointment right away with me and had me come in. And so we just talked about, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I know that I'm supposed to be doing something else. I just don't know what it is. God is telling me it's time to move on from the job that I'm in. I loved the job that I was in, by the way, or at least I thought I did. Um, thought I was going to retire from there, in 10 years,
Yeah.
not now,
Yeah.
or not early. And I knew all the rules because I was in HR. So I knew that I couldn't retire until I was 55 and, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I was 54 at the time. And she brought me in and she was like, "Stephanie, God is trying to bring all the dreams that you've put on the back burner. He's trying to bring those back. So I need you to just sit down and think about anything and everything throughout your life that you've done, that you were good at, that you wanted to do more of." So I did. I got a notebook. I wrote it all down. I love to help people with travel. I would put packages together for 15 people and, we'd go on this big trip. I would do that just for friends and family. I helped people with their budgets and helping them get on a budget and getting out of debt. So I was like, well, I could be a financial advisor. I'm like, I don't really want to do that. I sold real estate back when my son was born in North Carolina. And I'm like, I loved that. So I wrote all these things down with the HR and what I did with the accounting department. I did all the insurance. So I helped people with insurance. I even talked to a guy for like 2 hours on what I would need to do to get my insurance license and all this stuff. And I, wrote all that stuff down. I prayed about it. And I'm like, nope, 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 maybe, and that's where the MasterClass popped up on my Facebook and Instagram. And, you might be interested in this. When they say that Facebook and Instagram listens to your conversations,
Yeah,
I
They
think
do.
Sure.
they do. But it came up, and I'm like, it's $17, and at the time, I think it was 5 nights, and I'm like, what's there to lose? I can at least listen
Yeah.
to this podcast and or this masterclass and see what it's about. And if I don't want to do it, I'll walk away, and we'll keep praying on what God wants me to do. So that's where I found it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right to it.
Yeah. How did you feel about it as you were going through it?
I was very interested in it. I will say before I did the master class, I read your book
Okay.
because, I saw the little advertisement and you had said you had written a book about, overcoming your fear and stuff. And I was like, let me go read that. Let me see if this woman's legit. And I loved the book. I recommended it to several people.
Thank you.
And then I did the mastermind class,
That's
or not the master class.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so I know that you are a believer in mentors. How did your personal mentor that you had, obviously that you just talked about in your church, how did that, play a part in where you are today and joining the network and all that?
Her getting me to remember my dreams. And one of the things that she also, mentored me on was, you are one with your spouse. and you need to tell him all of this that you're going through because he has no idea. And I'm like, well, I don't want to bother him. He's busy, And she was like, no, you need to have that conversation with him so that y'all are on the same page. She said, there may be things that you've dreamed about that he knew you dreamed about that he can help direct you. And he did. He tried. Bless his heart. He was like, you're going to be great in insurance, honey. And I was like, yeah, I don't think that's where God's leading me, but thank you for, thinking that I'm going to be great at that. And then when I told him, that I was going to do this, he's like, oh my God, you're going to be great at this.
I love it. That's a perfect kind of husband. So when you went through the MasterClass, you're like, oh my gosh, this is the thing.
I was still praying about it.
Okay.
I mean, I was like, Lord, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of me trusting somebody else to help me do things I've never done before. Because even though I sold real estate 30 years ago, real estate has changed.
Absolutely.
And investing in real estate and selling real estate are two different things.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is a whole new world that I have not walked in before, and you're going to have to help me because I know nothing. And he's helped me.
Oh my gosh, yes, he did. And I am so excited that you said yes, and I'm so proud of everything you've accomplished. Okay, so I know at Rain Live last year, you also prayed for something very specific. So tell us that story.
Okay, so I joined I joined Rain in December. I opened my LLC in January, and I just dove into all of the lessons. And I learned and I learned and I learned and asked questions and did all that. Well, then Rain Live came along. My sister went with me because she just wanted to know, okay, you keep talking about all this stuff. I need to understand. I don't want to get in it. I don't want to do it. I just want to go with you to understand
know what you're
when
doing.
You're talking about. Yeah, she wanted to protect. She wanted to protect me to make sure I wasn't losing my mind. And so we were there, and I told her, I said, I am praying that God helps me just step out. I said, I've learned. I think I know what to do, but I just need that push of do it. You've got to take action. You can't just keep learning this stuff. You got to move. And so I prayed with her, and a few minutes later, we're sitting in one of the sessions, and this ad pops up on my phone from a North Texas group of ladies that I had been invited to. Networking is very important, by the way. But this lady, I knew her, and she had a deal, and she was asking if anybody was interested in her deal. And I told my sister, I said, I know her. And she said, well, would you be comfortable working with her? And I said, I think so. I said, but I have all the money to become her private money lender, but I don't think I want to do all of it. I just want to do this amount. And I said, so we'll just pray about it. And if it works, it works. If not, we'll move on. Well, I told her I was interested. Her partner called me and said, this lady that had to leave. Somebody in her family had passed. And so she was going to a funeral, but I went and met her partner. And she comes up to me.
They were at Rain Live as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I love it. Love it.
And she says, she told me you were interested. I have another lady that's also interested. If y'all would partner together, and if you could bring this amount, she can bring the other. And it was the exact amount that I had told my sister that I would do.
That's awesome.
So there you go. There's another one.
Yeah,
of when God
so good.
Made it clear. I love that.
Good.
I'm like,
I love it when he's directing.
Could you always make it clear? Yeah.
So
Love
good.
that. I love that. So while you were at Rain Live, not only did you partner with some Rain sisters, get your first deal, but you also joined the mastermind.
Yes.
I did.
So talk about that for a little bit.
I was not going to join that. And again, I went and talked to my mentor from church, and I just told her, I said, there's this thing where it's a mastermind to scale. And she goes, did you join this business to stay where you are, or did you join this business to grow?
Oh, I like
And
her.
I do too. Everybody needs a mentor like her.
Absolutely.
yes. And I said, well, I joined to grow. And she said, okay. And I said, well, it's quite a bit of money extra. And she goes, do you have the money? I said, yes. And she goes, then why are you being hesitant? And I said, I don't know. I said, I just left security of a job. I was the breadwinner. I mean, I made more than my husband at the time. And I'm like, I just gave all that up to do something that I don't even know what I'm doing. And now I'm going to join another program and anyway, God was like, you've got the money, do it. And I'm like, okay. So I did it. I jumped scared like everybody does to
Yes.
do.
Stephanie, I
Um,
love your obedience.
I know,
Like,
I
I
do
just,
too.
I mean, I hope that the listeners are getting this because every single step of the way, first of all, you prayed about every single step and everything that was to come, but then you gave yourself time to hear the Lord and you opened your eyes to recognize when He was answering because He doesn't, it's not always that obvious, but if you know what you're praying
yeah.
for, the answers, He gives us the answers. And I love that obedience that you had, that you did it scared. You did it, like you said, you were the breadwinner and now you had the money, but a lot of people would be like, I can't let go of this. I got to hold on to it. Cause what if, right? In fear.
And
And
every bit of it has
Well,
paid
and
off. I mean,
go
you've
ahead.
had so much success.
Yes.
So you kept taking the next
Yeah.
step and the next step. You came through the MasterClass. Then you said yes to the mentorship. Then you said yes to the mastermind.
Yeah.
And every time you're growing in your specialized knowledge and in your confidence and your obedience, just all along the way. It's so cool.
Well, I also have to say that I have 5 ladies in my life that are called my tribe, and we had been praying for my husband's job because at the time he really didn't care for the job he had, um, and we were praying that he would get a job that respected him and what he brought to the table, making 3 times as much as he did. And he had no idea that we were praying that. Um, and God came through on that as well.
Wow.
And when he told me that he had just met this guy in the next booth at a conference, and I'm like, did you just happen to meet that guy, or is God working? I didn't tell him. And then when they offered him the job, and he said, "Hey, you think we could do this amount?" And I just started crying, and because he had no idea that we were all praying for that. And
Wow.
so,
that's awesome.
that's part of his testimony
Yeah.
now is that my wife and all of her people were praying,
For this.
and
What
God
a great
answered
story.
that.
I
So,
love
That
it.
is so
yeah.
great. That
I
is so great.
love
I love
it.
it. So, Stephanie, after joining the mastermind,
hmm
you had more success. Let's tell us about your other deals after that first deal. And if you want to give a little more example, was that first deal a flip or a
The
wholesale?
first one was a PML,
PML.
a
Okay.
private
So
money
private money
lending.
lender.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
So tell us about your other
Um,
deals.
Well, I'm on number 11.
Woo! That's
But
amazing.
well, thank you. But according to the criteria, I can't say that they're all complete yet because I'm still in the middle of some of them. But the first 2 were private money lending deals. I could not have worked with better people. They were amazing. The third one was a flip with that partner that I met at Rain Live.
Wow.
I actually bought a house, and she called me and she said, "Did you just buy that house?" And I said, "I did." And she goes, I was going to look at that after work." And I was like, "Sorry." And she goes, "You want a partner?" Like, what is that going to look like? It worked out great. We learned so much. I will say we lost money on that one, but I'm still smiling. I'm still here. It wasn't the end of the world. We learned so much in that flip. I now have a rental property in Arlington, 5 miles away from AT&T Stadium.
Wow,
Woohoo!
that's amazing.
So we're praying for back-to-back bookings
That's
on
a
that
short-term
one.
rental. That's an Airbnb.
It,
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
awesome.
It is. It's my first
Now
one.
and later
So
money. Woohoo.
wish me luck on that one.
Yes.
And then I've done some more private money lending along the way. Had the experience of somebody needing an extension. We had to go through that. I had no idea what any of that was going to look like. But when you get to it, again, I'm like, come on, Jesus, help me. Show me what to do.
He hadn't
Send
let
me
you
the
down
people in my
yet.
direction. No, and he never will.
That's right.
But,
So good.
but no, my partner and I just bought 2 houses last week, and
Congratulations.
so we're getting ready to flip 2 more.
There you go.
I love it. I love it.
Incredible. Okay, so now I know from our personal conversations that mindset training or anything that improves your mindset is very important to you. So what do you do to stay on top of your game mentally?
I read the Bible every day. It's called my daily bread for a reason.
Yep.
If I don't get it, I'm starving.
That's right.
And so I do that either on my phone if I'm out and about somewhere. I plug it into my Bluetooth on the driving. I'll listen to it or I'll read it drinking my coffee in the morning. And then I usually try to have one other book, maybe 2. People laugh at me because I got 3 or 4 books, walking around all the time. But I take that book with me when I go to the post office or I'm waiting in line to get something to eat, or whatever. Usually read a chapter or at least 10 pages out of that every day. I just finished Grant Cardone's
10X?
The 10X
Woo,
rule.
Love that. Everybody
that
should
one
read
was a
that
good
book.
one. Yeah.
10X.
Yeah.
Grant Cardone. Yeah. Grant Cardone.
Yeah. Cardone. Yeah. It was good. I have a stack of books that I'm like, okay, which one's next? But yeah, just being around other people, doing what I'm doing, but also those people that I know are on my side and they're praying for me and encouraging me. Choose your people wisely.
Oh, so good. Such good advice.
I love that you said you have your tribe. I love your story of faith, of just taking each step of faith from, retiring in your position, from all the listening to God and doing those things and then retiring and stuff. What would your advice be, or what would you tell other women who maybe are in your shoes where you were a couple years ago, who are, looking at their current career, or maybe they, were like me, had kind of been a stay-at-home mom and just done a little bit of this and that along the way. Maybe they don't have that 20-year career that you had, but they're looking to start something new and they're looking at real estate investing. What kind of advice would you give them?
Pray a lot for wisdom and guidance before you just jump. Because God may be telling you to stay where you are, but do this on the side. That's what I thought he was going to tell me. And,
and here you are.
And that's not what happened. Yeah. And here I am. Surround yourself with people that do the same thing. Surround those that are ahead of you in doing things and behind you in doing things, because you're going to be able to help those coming up, and those that have already been there are going to be able to encourage you that you got this, and I always tell people, because people will say, you got this. And I'm like, God's got this, but I'm just along for the ride.
That's right. Well, all of that is the power of the network. When you join the Women's Real Estate Investors Network, you get to surround yourself with other women who are doing this. Some are going to be ahead of you, that can pull you through and encourage you and coach you. And then other ones are going to be the ones that you're going to help, because maybe you've only done one deal, but you can help somebody that hasn't done a deal at all. So that is the beauty of the network, is finding.
But I will say you as an individual have to show up.
Absolutely.
You have to go to the networking events. Even if you're scared to death about walking into a room, believe me, everybody that's walking into the room is not staring at you. They're worried about, oh, did I wear the right color? I mean, we literally had one lady walk in one day and she had on this beautiful yellow top. And everybody made comments about, oh my God, I love your yellow. You just look like sunshine. And she started crying
Aw.
because she said, you have no idea how many times I changed clothes.
Aw.
And when I walked in here, I was like, oh my God, why did I wear this? And, I mean, that whole group just put that at ease. It's the lie of the devil and
That's
the
right.
enemy. I'm sorry, but it is.
Yep.
When you are just so scared to walk into a room
Mhm.
because you think everybody's going to be looking at you,
Yeah.
they're doing the same thing.
That's
They're
right.
scared everybody's going to be
Yep.
looking at them too.
Yep.
Just go.
That's right. There's
Go.
so much he has for you, so many opportunities,
Yes.
but we talk ourselves out of them.
Yep.
So good.
Yep.
So good. Okay, let's talk, Stephanie, I would love to hear, what has been your favorite thing about the Women's Real Estate Investors Network?
The support, the networking, that we are not. I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there somewhere that don't want to see you succeed, but everybody that I've ran into, they're so encouraging. They want you to succeed. They want to celebrate when you succeed.
Yeah.
They're not running around going, oh, did you see her? She's got another deal.
Yeah, there's not a lot of
I mean,
jealousy. There's a lot of celebration.
no,
Yeah.
no. I mean, it is just like, you got a deal? That's awesome.
I love it.
We're excited for each
Yeah.
other and we want to see each other succeed. So, yeah, that's been amazing.
I love it. I love it. Okay, finally, I want to know, what are your goals for the rest of this year? We've only got a few months left. What are your
Oh my
goals? What are you
gosh.
going after?
Okay. So, I want more rental property.
Okay.
Back when we did the mastermind to scale in the office, y'all asked me, what is your goal? Well, that hasn't changed. I still want to do 5 to 10 rentals a year where I can have, that half of the rentals I'm making money and half the rentals I can help people, pastors that are coming through town or whatever, let them stay free, whatever. Somebody that needs a place while their house is being renovated. I can do that.
I love it. Yeah.
I can't do that yet.
Yeah.
But there's a big yet.
That's right.
It's coming.
I love that
God has a
goal.
plan and it's bigger than mine.
That's right.
So
I love that
I'm
goal.
So
excited.
good.
One of the missions I think that we have at the Women's Real Estate Investors Network is that we're blessed to be a blessing. It's not just about us all having bigger houses and more stuff, but it's about us being able to make impact and taking care of others. And so I love that that's your goal and dream. And there's no doubt that you'll be doing it.
For you to say that about missions, I just have to share another one of those God moments. We had a night of vision at our church, and I go to North Place in Wiley, and the pastor was talking about a mission trip to Africa. And all of my life, I've prayed, God, you can send me anywhere. You can just use me as a vessel, but please don't send me to Africa. I have no idea why. That's what I always said. And I'm sitting there in the service. My husband's out of town for work. And God's like, go up and talk to the mission pastor and get more information on that mission trip. And so I did. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm getting this information for a friend, that's interested in this. And nope, it was for me. So we were supposed to go in August. They've moved it to January. But one of the Rain sisters, I told them about it at a meetup one night. And she goes, oh my gosh, put that out in the network and, see if you can collect money for it. Because I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to pay for this. And so I did. And I am fully funded to go on the trip. And most of it came from the real estate network
That's
of women.
amazing.
That is.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I can't wait to hear about that.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. What an incredible story and testimony you have, Stephanie. This has
Yes.
just been so great. From
Thank
over
you.
20 years in oil and gas to stepping boldly into real estate investing. I mean, your story, it just reminds us that with faith, courage, and the right mindset, transformation is always possible. I love how you give God all the glory. You've embraced growth and you've built a life of purpose with the support of your husband by your side, which is amazing. If Stephanie's story has inspired you, subscribe to the podcast. Just hit the button
Yes.
below. Share it with a friend. Consider joining us for the next Without Fear of Her Future Masterclass. Just click that link below. We want to thank you so much for joining us today. And Stephanie, thank you so much for being here. On behalf of the Women's Real Estate Investors Network and Tresa Todd, I'm Melissa Baker, encouraging you to be brave and dream big. Listeners, if you're aiming for financial freedom, dreaming of designing a life you absolutely love, or just curious about how real estate can transform your future, you're in the right place.
Yes, ladies, if that sounds like what you want, our masterclass is the key. It's easy to understand, super straightforward, and packed with all the secrets you need to start investing in real estate confidently and successfully. Why wait to build your dream future? Join us and let us make your dreams a stunning reality.
Just click the masterclass link in the notes below.
And we can't wait to begin this journey with you.